What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the official Cliffy J, and I'm back with another video. And I've decided to do a Big Brother 27 mid-season power rankings. Y'all already know how power rankings usually go. The criteria I'm using is really just based on who I think is most likely to win as of right now, not really just based on their position. I'm going based on, how good of a player I think they are and how high of a chance I think they have of being able to traverse through the rest of this game, because this type of game where you really don't 100% know what's going to happen next. You might got a number one, but they might just turn on you in the drop of a dime. So let's go ahead and get into this ranking. And at number 11, I've got Kelly. And at this point, she should be aligned to Kat and Lauren and Keanu, but I don't even know if they really fully are rocking with her like that. I mean, I know that Lauren ain't rocking with her over Kat. I know that Keanu ain't rocking with her over Vince. And I know Kat ain't rocking with her over Lauren. So it's kind of like she's nobody's number one at this point, and she's burnt bridges with a lot of players. She's played terribly. She kind of wants to be. Well, I mean, at the beginning, it seemed like she wanted to play. I mean, she still is lying and stuff like that. So it's like she's not a good player. And it's just that simple. Her beef with Rachel is dumb. Her beef with even like her hatred for Keanu throughout a lot of this game also was just really stupid. So, not a good player under any stretch of the imagination. No win equity, and probably is going home this week. At number 10, I've got Catherine. And at this point, she is the other person that has a very high chance of going home. Ava is certainly not going home, even though she's on the block. She's not going home next to Kat or Kelly. So, yeah, Kat is actually closer aligned to Lauren, and that's really it. I mean, she has a decent relationship at this point with Keanu and Kelly, but these aren't people that are gonna really like, have much traction in the game or much control or agency. So I think no matter how you slice it, Catherine is cooked. And at number 10, I've got Ava. And that mostly just comes from the fact that she hasn't really played that hard. Like, this thing with Ava early in the game, she kind of was just being put into alliances. She aligned with Will, and that's really it. She hasn't really been extremely active at this point. All she's really did is talk, not that much strategy. You know what I'm saying? She is like more of a social player. And I think earlier in the game, I would have considered her a really strong social player, but she's pretty emotional. And as we seen when she was HOH, she didn't really do too much after making a big move, which I think severely hurt her positioning in the game. She has kind of lost the strong connections with players that she had, like a Rachel because of the Riley stuff. Mickey, she's kind of gave Mickey the cold shoulder, not really liking Mickey as much. And Will doesn't. It seems at this point, Will is kind of going to prioritize Rachel and Ashley more because he did make a final three with them. And I don't really see her win if she gets to the end because it will be with other players that are going to have much more win equity. At number 9, I've got Keanu, and that's just off the strength of the fact that I think he would have more win equity. Not because he's been a good social player, people dislike him, but it's just like if he's able to get to the end, you kind of got to give it to the kid. You know what I'm saying? He literally would have to win like 10 comps plus or something to even get there. So it's kind of like you got to give it to him. That's kind of what I'm getting at there. But other than that, he's been a horrific, like, strategic player. He's been okay socially. I don't actually think he's been that bad, but I think, he kind of got isolated kind of early, partly because Jimmy had such a strong position, Morgan, Mickey, they had strong position, and you're going against them, and, a whole lot of stuff there. And that's really it. Not a strong player, but he is very good in competitions. And at number 8, I've got Mickey. And the only reason I have her higher than Keanu, though she is just as big, if not a bigger social pariah at this point, which is crazy, is just because she could really get that connection back with a Rachel, a Will, a Morgan. And she already still kind of has that with Ashley. Ashley still, has went to bat for her here and there. Not saying that Ashley's fully rocking with her, but I could see her getting those alliances back if she's able to maybe win a HOH next week, or win another veto and stuff like that. I could see her kind of just slowly getting back in the fold. That's not happening with Keanu. Keanu's never been in the fold, and it's just not happening, buddy. And at number 7, I've got Lauren. And I got Lauren this high mostly because, Keanu's a really strong player, aligned with Lauren. Kat's pretty decent competitor at this point, aligned with her. And Vince is also aligned with her, and he's a big player in the game. And I could see him finding a way to drag her far enough to where she could possibly win out from that point, and maybe just win off the strength of it being maybe a lot of girls in the jury, wanting a female winner. I could see that, though she has the lowest chance out of the women of that. No, she doesn't, because obviously you have Kelly, Kat, Ayla, and even Mickey. But I don't know. Mickey and her, I think, will be a toss up at the end, I guess. I don't really know. I kind of think Lauren should be able to have it because she does get kind of, babied a bit in certain aspects. And I could see that leading to her being able to get the win because it's like, this young girl able to win her way to the end against these strong competitors. Like, I could see that happening. You never know. The story does matter in the game. But I don't think it's super likely. I don't think it's super likely. She hasn't been the greatest player. She's been indecisive to the people in the game. They see that, but I don't think she's actually as indecisive as she's obviously playing up, of course. And at number 6, I've got Ashley. And at this point, she's aligned with Rachel, Will, Mickey, Morgan, and at this point, Vince. And that's what's crazy is that though Vince was definitely thinking about putting her on the block, she's found herself into a sneaky good position, and honestly has really, like, I would say, improved as she's gotten a better feel for the game and gotten a better understanding of how stuff is breaking down week by week. I definitely think that she's showing a lot of potential, especially as these weeks go through. I could really see if she's able to pull out a couple clutch comps, her being able to command some good respect because she is well liked by at least 4 of those players. On top of the fact that someone like Keanu, if she's able to dominate, I could see Keanu, giving her some respect. I could see Vince giving her some respect if she's able to, play a really good game. It just depends on what happens. And I could see Ashley being able to squeak something out, though it's not super likely right now. And at number 5, I've got Rachel Riley. And she's aligned with Ashley, Morgan, Will. At this point, Vince. And I mean, I could see her getting back aligned with Mickey because I think she's definitely willing to. This is the thing. I don't think anyone actually wants to go to the end with Rachel, like in their heart of hearts. I don't think anyone truly wants to sit in the final 2 chairs with Rachel, except for maybe Ashley. I just don't see it. And you have that. And you also have the fact that she's played a really good game. You got to give her credit. She has this huge threat level. She hasn't been on the block at this point. She's, cockroaching her way off the block every week. On top of the fact that she's had a decent amount of control at points, and she's been in the numbers for a lot of the game. Like, you got to give Rachel credit. This is genuinely her best game she's ever played. I don't care what anybody says. She is not good on her first 2 seasons, but she's actually been pretty good on here. I still think Will is the best player, but she's actually been pretty good on here, and I do think she has a very high chance of winning, depending on who she's sitting next with you. And if it's not Vince, I think she definitely wins. If it's not Will, Morgan, like I think she wins. I definitely think she wins, and she could even beat them just based off the fact that it's like respect. You had this huge threat level, and people, didn't really respect you as a player, but they respected the fact that you are this legend and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, if this person gets to the end, we kind of got to give it to her, type shit. You know what I'm saying? And at number 3, I've got Will. And he's lined with Ashley, Rachel, Ava, Vince, Mickey, Morgan. Like, he definitely is in the best position. He definitely has the most allies. And I would argue that he is the best player on the cast at this point. It's just that doesn't always translate to you being the winner. I think that his natural, person that he is, being an older guy, it could really affect him, especially on a female heavy cast Like at this point, the jury is gonna be all women. So like if he's like the only man or one of the only two men, I would say obviously that's in jury, and he is older than a lot of the people, I don't know if they would award him the winner, even though they think he's a really like good person. They like him, they want to play with him and stuff like that. But I am going to lean towards the fact that he has more win equity than most people in this cast. And I'm going to give him that credit and have him at number 3. That's the only reason I have him at number 3. I think he has played better than these other people that are at 1 and 2. I just think that he has less win equity. And that's what it's coming down to. I just think he does have a lot of win equity, though. That's why he's at number 3. And at number 2, I've got Vince. And I got Vince at number 2 because he's aligned with Lauren, Morgan, Keanu, Rachel, Will, kinda Kelly and Catherine or whoever's gonna stay. Kinda, they kind of have to trust him, but I don't know if they will. They might want to just kind of be alone. You never know. Vince has played a really solid game. His game socially has been very good in terms of getting people to trust him and having allies. And like, I do think that this move to put Catherine on the block has truly isolated Lauren and Keanu to the point where like they kind of have to work with him regardless. They don't really have a choice whether they want to or not. And he also has good connections with the other people that are in the game, the ones that are actually in more of power positions. It's just, I think that this just favors the situation and the scenarios that we're probably going to be going down, favors the other person, the person I have at number 1, more than Vince. Though I do think Vince is probably the most likely winner if he were to get to the end. Like out of anybody, he probably will beat everybody. The thing that has me hesitant is the path that he's going down. If he rides with the judges, I do see him being targeted probably first out of the judges, or probably first out of, whatever alliance that is left of the judges when we get to them getting down to their final numbers. Because, it's a lot of other strong people on the other side. They might be able to get one of them out before they're able to get down to the final 5 or 6 or whatever. And at number 1, I've got Morgan. And even though she's a creeper, she's played a really solid game. And I got to give her that credit. And due to Vince making the decision that he made this week, I would have to say that she is the best position to win the game. I think that going to the end with the judges, or even having the judges all be intact going into this next week, if one of them wins HOH, Vince, you're done, bro. Like, and I don't know how else to say it, because they're gonna have so many numbers to where even if next week Keanu, whoever is still here, Kat or Kelly or Lauren, or even if Vince wants to flip on them, they'll still have so many numbers to where they could still the next week if they win again, boom, and then they'll just have what, like 5-2 or 5-3 or whatever it's gonna be, or 6-3 or whatever it's gonna be. It's gonna be a pretty good amount of numbers on their side versus their little 2-3. And we know what's happened at that point, because I don't see any social flips. Like, the whole judges socially are so far disconnected from the Kelly, Catherine, Lauren, and like group. There's no way they work with them. I could see maybe a flip to work with Ava, but Ava's still pretty close to that group because all of her allies were or are part of that group. So it's kind of like Morgan's in a really good position going into these next weeks. Morgan doesn't really have anyone really targeting her. Like, even if she's gonna go on the block, it's a low chance she goes home next to an Ashley or a Mickey or a Rachel. Like, I just don't see it. So she's in a good spot in terms of going on the block. Her threat level is not insanely high. She should have some win equity because people see she's been playing a pretty decent game. She's been in great positions. She's had power. She's had a lot of, like she's had a lot of agency. And since she's had so much agency, I definitely think that people will recognize that. She's also played a solid social game. I definitely think Morgan has played a really good game, and I think that she'll have that respect if she gets to the end. And I also think she's more likely to get to the end than Vince or Rachel or Will, if I'm being honest. I think that she has a higher chance of getting to the end than both of them because in game comps, I actually could see her being able to win one. I just don't see that with Will. And that is the end of today's video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Push the notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new lit banger. Peace.